So this is going to be a little bit of a weird situation. It's time. It's time. It's happening. It's game time. But the game is not happening. And by that, I do not mean Game 7 of the Trailblazers. Our guest today was supposed to be Gregory McKelvey, longtime bud, longtime friend of the show, making his debut on the stream. But some stuff happened. We're rescheduling that to tomorrow. And so now we're like between hosts because Rachel's on the way coming in. Kennedy's not here. Lyle's not here. It's just me. Once again, strong as always, holding down the fort. And what's good is you never have time to fucking feel weird or feel bad about a lack of things to talk about. Because in this game, y'all, this content game, it's always like some new fucking horrific, weird shit that happens. There's always something that fucking blows your mind to levels that you did not think was possible. So we got this Herman Cain. Welcome back, King. The dog is tweeting from the grave. He's basically tweeting from the grave, and he's posting like fucking hot takes about the fucking coronavirus. He's posting hot takes about Kamala Harris. He's posting just basically every hot take that you can think of. And like the nigga's dead. Like this nigga passed away like 2 weeks ago for Trump. Just hopped in the grave, covered itself in dirt, said nom 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 like Cookie Monster. And but now, even if you can kill a grifter, but you can't kill the grift. So despite the fact that this dude's passed away, his staff is now running the account because like we're in the social media age, you know, we're in the clout age, we're in the attention economy. So this account, even though like it's run by a dead guy, it's got 555,000 followers, right? So now you can't just bury the man's clout. There's got to be, in the same way that we're ruthlessly monetizing places, the way that we're ruthlessly monetizing health, the way that we're ruthlessly monetizing time, like the dignity of death will be made to disappear in the name of getting that paper. My mind is just constantly blown by like the weird shit that's just completely acceptable, like in culture. Like there are probably cultures where like you would like arrest the guy, you would bury him with his clout instead of just passing it on. So that being said, so they tweeted, and we'll just pull up the Cain gang, and you can tell how quickly this shit came together because like the logo is like literally Rachel can make some shit in Canva that looks better than this in like 45 seconds. And speaking of which, Rachel is here right now. So Rachel, how are you? You're on mute. You got to work on that.
God, I have attention deficit disorder, and sometimes I don't notice things.
You are valid. Never
I am valid.
That.
I'm okay.
All right.
I'm all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing kind of the same shit I have been. I'm looking at new glasses to buy because these are kind of getting scratched up and hard to see out of. My life is fascinating.
I was going to say how incredibly interesting that was. But anyway, we're doing it, and we're talking about Herman Cain.
Fuck him.
The posthumous tweets.
That's amazing. Do we know who's actually running his Twitter?
Well, let's analyze.
Okay.
Official Twitter for Team Cain, not the Herman Cain. Now it says the Herman Cain. Now, if your Twitter account is the Rachel Kahn, what if you die and you have that handle, Rachel?
Right.
Do we get to hand your thing off to like a psychic?
Can I at the very least like? Can I bequeath it to someone in my will?
I mean,
like,
yes.
Can I make like a list of preferred people I want to have it? I bequeath
my clout. I assume that you would give it to Circa. Who would you give your clout to?
I feel like I would probably give it to some charity.
Yeah,
you know?
I was gonna say Circa's not a good. We've seen her as an heir, and she just drives it into the ditch. So you've got to protect your clout from beyond the grave. So who are we reaching? Leia? What do we got here?
Maybe Leia. Yeah.
That's a good question. Oh, I know who I'd give my clout to. I'll tell you later. Well, it's a Metro DSA person. Initial CS.
Okay.
She'd be an obvious pick, right? Because she knows my fucking gimmick. Now she can't be black, but we can't be perfect as individuals.
Well,
but
can
anyway,
you also bequeath your blackness to her?
No, I gotta bury that. I gotta take that one.
Okay.
I gotta take that one with me.
I understand.
But official Twitter for Team Cain, formerly run by Herman Cain, now supervised by his daughter, team, and family.
Gotcha.
Well, it says daughter team, but I don't want to get into the Oxford comma implications of that, right?
That's not even like an Oxford comma. An Oxford comma would, if it was going to be there, comma after team. That's just a list that is missing a comma and therefore grammatically incorrect.
Therefore, grammatically incorrect. Okay.
But also, like, grammar is it's an entire edifice created by class to push other people out of written discourse and thereby having their ideas taken seriously.
Okay, we're pushing bad people out of written discourse.
Yeah, but not everybody who doesn't have good grammar is bad. Some of them are just broke.
Bring this camera in on me. If you have bad grammar, you're a bad person. It's over for you, and we're coming. Official statement. But with that said, Rachel Kahn does not sign any official statements. The mission continues. What is the mission? Rachel, what's the mission of the entire life of Herman Cain? What was it all for? Now that we can look back at it in retrospect, let's disrespect this man.
I guess.
I don't know. Oh,
personal gain. It's a big theme. Big theme.
Big theme. Okay, so some of these values are continuing. They're passing on.
Yeah, I think that probably the biggest and most important one is actually like the personal gain aspect. I think probably he did like actually, hate the people he was supposed to within the Republican Party. I think that's probably true. He's probably genuinely into it. I know he was really into abusing like restaurant workers. He hated that. Or hated them.
Unmitigated bad guy.
Bad touch. He did bad touch.
Bad toucher. I can't believe when we posted about fucking Herman Cain, and I forget even what it was, some fucking douchebag ass fucking yang ganger fucking got in there. No, you disrespect this man on the day that he died. Who cares? This is why there's evil in the world. This is why there's indignity and no human kindness. Because the man has died and you've dunked on his account posthumously. And listen, the guy's tweeting. So the Twitter account is clearly being used for evil. We pointed this out. Like, you guys realize this account is actively, like, even on the most lib level, right? So we're not even breaking this shit down into like, we're gonna like imprison and re-educate, all that bullshit, right? On the most lib human level possible, the most non-political level possible, he's spreading misinformation about the virus that's currently ravaging all people in the country. And you're not allowed to like make fun of the account. Get a grip, people. But anyway. All this for a bad toucher. That was my main point.
Yeah, one, like literally getting people killed is sort of its own just significant deterrent for like any kind of support, right? Like, and I figure he died poetically in a way that led to other people dying. So I kind of feel like
no, it's pure Disney villain shit, Rachel. It's
when it's like that need of a bookend and it's like that poetic and also it's hurting people. I feel like not only are you allowed to, but you're morally obligated to
like
just bully them.
It's like if you're chasing a child off a cliff and the child like ducks and you trip over them and you fall off the cliff, like you died actively perpetrating evil, like in the action. And when we talk about, I've said this before, like karma is not like a supernatural force. It is just the idea that your actions have natural consequences.
Right.
And that's like, this is some natural consequence shit. You went to a Trump rally in Tulsa with no mask on, with a bunch of other old people.
Yeah.
To to them, buddy. And the thing about him being used by his family, and I am talking too much, but he probably would go along with all this shit.
Yeah.
Get the money. This is my legacy.
You know, I assume people who marry somebody like him are either themselves evil or are like just so fundamentally beaten down and broken that they're like sucked into an abuse cycle. And I figure it's got to be one or the other. Like, I cannot imagine a healthy person being with someone like Herman Cain, you know?
These are the soul-rending takes that we're really here for. I can't imagine a healthy person. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a medical doctor, but I don't know if you can be morally healthy. I'll put that I think that's an easy.
Yeah, I think that one's kind of a gimme if you're gonna go around doing, Tea Party shit and getting people killed of COVID. You're kind of a bad person.
This is like reminds me of fucking Meghan McCain. While we just talk about grift families,
gosh,
acting superior to people when her husband literally runs an anti-Semitic newspaper. Where does this come? Where does it come from? It's ridiculous.
I mean, I have no love for any of them. Honestly, my last 24 hours have been consumed primarily by people being really mad that I said Kamala Harris is a cop, which is my favorite thing ever, of course. So I haven't even really been paying attention to Herman Cain because everyone's screaming at me about Kamala Harris.
Is this a Facebook thing?
Oh no, it's not just Facebook. World? It's all over the place.
Twitter? Is Twitter yelling? I feel like Twitter should have your back at least here. There are Twitter,
where the K-Hive lives.
Okay. I haven't really talked about Kamala at all on Twitter. I might have to search myself on Kamala. I might have mentioned her twice.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why. So you're fighting the K-Hive now?
No, not directly. I mean, I don't know.
Are they just quote tweeting you? Are they?
No, I'm not getting mobbed or anything. There's just been more than one person who's been but Kamala Harris is so progressive. I'm okay.
That's hard to deal with. That's hard to sit through.
I know, right? Kind of slow. Is it a slow news day? Surely something terrible happened.
No, wait. What's
going on in the news?
There's things going on, but I want to actually do the Cain Gang because there's news from Cain HQ, and this is the statement that they released. We can also read Dana Loesch afterwards. This is a timely reminder. The Cain Gang consists of different writers who have their own opinions. We all lean right, but we're also individuals. Each piece reflects the opinions of that writer. That's how Herman wanted it to work, but we agree on this. We love you all. I follow dead people. Blocking now. Herman was a good man. Agree/disagree. It seems the respectful thing to do is retire this account and start a new one, but you'd have no clout. What do you mean? So anyway, I'm fascinated by the legacy of grifting. Oh God, Cain, legacy of grifting. That should have been the episode title.
Damn it.
Cain, legacy of darkness. And then
in our defense, we had an incredible interview lined up today that we had to reschedule to tomorrow at the last second. So we're totally winging it right now.
All right. I'm going to just put that up here for a second. I can make banners.
Hell yeah.
Cain, legacy of grifting is fucking incredible.
What do you think was Herman Cain's best grift?
999.
Okay, tell me about 999.
It was like his tax plan. And it was 9% foreign, 9% international, 9% income. It was just all the tax rates. You're
going to be 9%.
Yeah, I think it was your local state and federal, all 9%. And so it was catchy, which means Republicans yelled it and cared nothing about policy.
Yeah.
I can't hear what I don't know whether this is me, but I'll never stop. Get a grip, kid. This is mine. But anyway, yeah. So that became Cain's thing, and Cain was ahead for a little while, and then he got Me Too, and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, I mean, he did a lot of things in his many years of being terrible, but I feel like really all of that got overshadowed by him just like aggressively simping Trump at the end of his life.
That was very sad. It was very pathetic.
Yeah.
I have family members who like were in the Herman Cain sphere and like listen to that show all the time.
Right.
Very dreary shit. Get a grip.
Yeah.
It just made people believe in any kind of, man, the Obama era, people would just believe any kind of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine some bullshit and people would, infuriating. But anyway.
I forgot that one time he tried to run for Zell Miller's seat.
Oh.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Back in 2004.
So, hey, let's talk about, do you want to talk about time? What do you want to talk about, Rachel?
Oh, I don't fucking know.
We
can talk about time. We're just going to get like real esoteric with it. Let's talk about
time.
Sequences.
Yeah, so.
Time's not real. Time is a way that we interpret events.
Well, wait. Okay. Let's wait. Let's scroll back a little bit. So all of this started with hashtag clocks are over party. It wasn't a deep thinking leftist. It was like some YouTube channel was running something and the clock was ticking down to the finale, and so they were just memeing. They were just fucking memeing. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so it memed, it blew up, and then the left got a hold of it, and then it became the political time. Clocks. So before I feel like we had this discussion with Lau and Alyssa.
Yeah.
And if you had been there, we would have had you too. But I feel like clocks and time are different.
Okay.
Clocks, like when we say time, we often mean clocks, which are like tools for measurement. But time, just as a force, I think if you have a river and it's burrowing through a space, whether it's observed or not, you can see an effect on time. You know, you can observe that time has changed something. So even though you can't physically see time, I feel like time is very obviously an observable phenomenon.
Yeah, I think that's true. You know, or at least like it can be measured, right? But when it comes to
Lau is maybe coming, but maybe not. Lau's just super busy living life, living la vida loca. We can't all be here on damn near 80% of these episodes, like some of us. Taking into the future, do. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
These are not your usual Twitch level comments. It's very nice. Anyway.
So like weird things that we just know about time, right? Like time itself gets distorted in a black hole, right? So like time is an actual material force that exists in the universe that impacts the universe, you know, qua sequencing, right? And so when I say time's not real, what I mean is there's not some intrinsic quality to like time itself that makes it exactly the way that we experience it. And in fact, in different parts of the universe, it may behave differently and we don't even really know. And it's kind of this like phenomenological problem of the difference between, you know, these things that we perceive and these things that actually are. And that's kind of a little bit into metaphysics as well.
Well, we'll explain that. What is the difference between what we perceive? Is what we perceive not real? Is it less real? Are there levels of realness?
None of our perceptions accurately and completely represent reality.
Well,
ever.
Yeah, right.
So, like, there is an actual, like, essential existing thing. My dad's asking if I've been drinking too much. No, Dad, it's just cute. It's a cute bar. And we have an open pantry now because our kitchen was too small. Anyway, so time, time is, you know, this, and take a step back. There's a concept called the object in itself, right? And so this object in itself is like the totality of the object, including its position relative to literally everything else in existence that it is surrounded by, and the totality of that being thing's beingness, right? We never actually directly interact with the object in itself because our minds happen in our brains, and because all of the information our brains get is translated from sense receptors that have limited sense, capacity. They have limited degrees of change in sensitivity, because our brain isn't even necessarily paying attention to things most of the time, and we're just sort of filling in the blanks based on previous patterns we've seen, and based on just the reality that, like, it's an unknowable thing to simultaneously conceive of like every direction and piece and internal piece of an object, basically.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And so like time is like that too, right? Like we have these perceptions of time, but the way we perceive time changes depending on our age, depending on our environment, depending on whether we're distracted, depending on whether we're excited. And so like time itself, as we perceive it, we can track the rate on this planet of like molecular decay or whatever, but like we can't, or like isotope decay or whatever, but we can't like know time. That's basically all I got.
Yeah. So,
and if you're me, if you have ADHD, it's even more incomprehensible. So
this is very good, because we, like me, Lau, and Alyssa, basically spent like 20 minutes like weaving through these concepts like very slowly, and you like summed our entire thing up in like 45 seconds. And this is...
I have read a lot of phenomenology books. I would not recommend it.
Is it not fun? Is it not a rewarding use of your life? What's happening?
It turns you into a fucking nerd. And being a nerd is alienating. So stay cool. Don't read books. Don't be a nerd. Don't be a wonk. Right. Do anything necessary to avoid being like me specifically. Never read. Yeah.
I do anything necessary to avoid being like me specifically. When I do get on Tinder, that will be in the bio. Don't you worry.
Yeah, of course. Tinder's the worst place in all of the internet.
Well, I figure as a man, Tinder might not be as bad, because I'll be inflicting my badness on others instead of receiving the badness of others.
I have been told it is both cold and lonely for men, but I don't know.
That's why nerds are welcomed on Twitch. That's why we don't like Twitch. But anyway, get a grip, Twitch. So given that, let's talk about clocks.
Okay.
Clocks are more of an economic thing.
Yeah.
Like in our modern, like obviously, I said this last time. It's not like you can be like an agrarian farmer, and the crops are coming out of the ground, and you're sitting there like, well, time is an illusion, and clocks are a capitalist conceit, and I'm not gonna go pluck them potatoes out of the dirt. It exists in that sense,
right?
But most of our perceptions of time, or how we think about time, are very highly regulated by the market.
Yeah. Well, and I think,
economy.
That stems back to like the factory era and the industrialization era, and these really tightly regimented schedules that were designed to work people the absolute maximum you possibly could without them literally collapsing of exhaustion, and sometimes even until then, so that you can pump out product at rates that are not only unnecessary but actively destructive. Because capitalism is bad, actually. I know we never say this on the pod.
We never do, and we got to get there. How should we want to spend our time?
So there's a book called Creating Capabilities by Martha Nussbaum. And I don't know why Brandon's interviewing me and asking me all these esoteric questions today, but we're rolling with it.
I had this conversation last night with Lau and Alyssa.
Okay.
but you weren't there. So basically, I'm kind of leading you through the major flagpoles. So
Okay.
like, if you ever seen that meme of the guy in the corner laughing and the friends are just off screen, that's what we're doing right now, because last night's conversation is just off screen.
Gotcha. So we're reviving it. Okay. So there's this book by Martha Nussbaum called Creating Capabilities. And what I took from this book, you might take something slightly different, but probably not that different because it was pretty explicit about its point, is that human beings need, in order to thrive, right? Not just like continue to survive, but to actually like reach our fullest potentials and be our most best creative selves. We need food, shelter, community, education, healthcare, and time. Like free time in addition to all of those, right? So we need the time to actually sit around and do like nothing and be bored. Because that time of boredom is when we come up with like our best and most interesting ideas, and where we start solving weird problems that we might not have had a chance to think about before, or, you know, create the ideal luxuries that we might want to have because we have this free time. And in order to actually reach that free time and use it appropriately, the rest of that time needs to be, you know, creating food, creating housing, creating clothing, working together as a community, taking care of each other, and, you know, studying things, getting an education about the things that you're interested in. So if you don't have all of those accesses, you know, and if you are denied access to that because you're sick or because you're disabled or because, you know, you're elderly or whatever, you lose your ability to be creative and be productive, and all of society suffers.
When I've had conversations with people that involved them imagining post-capitalism life,
right,
I am always struck by how passionate people get about the idea of having free time.
Yeah.
Nobody really says it like that. Nobody, because like our politicians and really our entertainment don't really do this either, because stories are obsessed with time, because it is the function of like time defines the function of a story. So comics are obsessed with hitting certain story beats at certain points because they've got like 5 pages to do the thing. Or a movie is obsessed with, we've got to fill this into a 3-hour space. Or a TV show, you think of the storytelling style of the shows you might have watched as a kid that had like 20 episodes a season, and the storytelling style of a modern TV show that might have 8 or 10. So it's not like stories about abolishing time are a big thing. But But like, with that said, our politicians try to give us, they don't have a language around free time. So still basically this imagining into talking points. That's basically my core point here. When we talk about healthcare, like, we've seen people in public life talk about healthcare, and so we kind of know how to emulate them, unfortunately. But when you talk about time, because it's a less commodified thing, or it's more,
or a strictly commodified thing, depending on how you interact with it.
Actually, you said this better, because it's so tightly commodified. We don't even have the language to talk about it. So it just comes off as like this long-winded yearning. I remember having a conversation with a couple of people, and they were like, do I enjoy my job? I mean, yeah, but not for 40 hours.
Right. Well, and not at the expense of the rest of my life, which is where we're at right now. You know, nobody has work-life balance. Nobody at any level has work-life balance, because we've all started doing this broken, frantic, you know, push towards just forever creating and consuming more. And everybody's fucking losing. It's not good. Can we do music in here?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's play Penny for a Thought by Saul Williams.
Okay.
No, someone's at my door.
All right, you do that.
Could be. I'll be right back.
Yeah, and I will just run it like Matt Christman.
Hell, I believe in you.
Looking into the camera and fucking rambling. So yeah,
I'll be right back after I answer this door.
Go get your door. Yeah, I got it. Hey everybody, it's Brandon Buchanan here by himself and putting the extra emphasis on sounding as smooth as possible as you're listening to this on the background during your work day. So yeah, leisure time. I I was at a bar, I was talking to somebody, and they said, yeah, I'd love to do practically anything, that I'm doing at my job, but not for 20 hours a day. I mean, not for 40 hours a week. 20 hours a day would be pretty bad too. But anyway, well, what would you like to do? Well, I've got kids, and think of how much time you people would like to spend with their family versus how much time you actually do. By the time that you do the traveling to and from work and you do your job, and you basically like your entire time with your relatives is like fucking meal time. Like it's fuel to work more. These are the people I work with. And that sucks. So, just our time to bond with other people is strictly limited. And that's important because like time to bond with people is what organizing is. Just in terms of like, our ability to accomplish shit. The more time you have, the more that you can figure out what somebody else is going through, the more time you can figure out what somebody else needs and like be able to get that to them and things like that. So it's just a terrible fucking situation, and you have to work consciously to bond with people, especially like once you leave school. When you're a kid, your relationships kind of get handed to you, right? And you have to bond with the people that you're thrown into, and you sit with them for hours a day. And y'all definitely ain't going to school and fucking learning, right? But as an adult, your ability to bond with people outside of work and family time and eating is very limited. And in order to build the kind of bonds that you need in order to build a strong community, you have to take the time that you have that you're not at work, and you have to kind of spend that time intentionally on your fucking human connections. So if you're watching this on, Twitter, you're on a place where you're doing a lot of fucking networking as it is. And don't just use it to just talk into the void, which I saw a lot of people were posting, and they were like, oh, I'm talking into the void. This is so sad. It's a hard, event. But like the real purpose should not be like you talking to the void and you hear people, but it's that you are socially networking. And you can do that with intention on Twitter. The thing that I have found really cool about the whole yada yada no comrades under 1K is not the fact that that topic has been trending for a few days. I mean, that's fine, but the thing that really impresses me is the sub communities, because now you're going from just a topic, you're going from like clout chasing to now you're kind of building a community with intention, because instead of it just being okay, no comrades, I've seen graphic design subgroups, I've seen Black subgroups, I've seen women subgroups. That's really cool, because, and it's not like, oh, it's cool to be exclusive and yada yada yada, but it's more, you now know that you have something in common with the group of people that you are posting with. And now you're becoming, and I know that sounds goofy, but like your Twitter DM group is an organization. It is like, it might not be an organization that is formed to accomplish goals, all that kind of shit, but it is a social organization.
I would say it's more of a community, but the difference between the two can be pretty slim.
So,
anytime you have a group of people working together towards a goal in an organized and intentional way, you have an organization. If you don't have that intention behind it, then you're not really organizing it. You're just kind of doing
how
it.
Organized do you have to be an organization, and how organized do you have to be a good organization?
I'm going to say an organization is 3 or more people.
Sure.
Who communicate about intentionally achieving something together in an ongoing capacity.
What if the goal, well, we're talking about non-goal-driven goals, and so if the goal is to laugh at each other's tweets, then are we an organization?
Well, I mean, I think that there's something to like. We're in a podcast network. Like, we're doing marketing intentionally. So, like, if you're asking me, like, are our retweet groups, for example?
Yeah, those are.
That's definitely an organization,
and it's not like a hierarchical organization or anything, but like
right.
An organization.
But like, there's sort of an unspoken like agreement that if you're in this group, you will both like post your stuff, but also you are expected to reciprocate in sharing things, you know?
Sure.
And there's sort of like a ratio, you know, if you do too much of one, it's like, are you really contributing, you know?
If we were to shutter the podcast tomorrow and everybody shuttered all their podcasts are canceled, hashtag, all right, it's over.
Yeah. It becomes like the silence.
Well, no, we're still posting and we're still entertaining each other, but we don't have a
silently.
Yeah, well, we're not making media, we're just posting.
Okay.
Is our posting collective an organization? Well, I guess.
Are we trying to achieve a goal with our posting?
That's true. Well, what if it's just an intrinsic goal, like we just want to laugh? Then
you're just socializing, and that's fine. It's okay to just socialize. Like, I understand that in our modern culture, you know, there's this sort of weird, what's the word for it? When you're both trying to get something out of each other, and it's killing me that I can't remember this word. It's like a type of exchange, but for money.
Oh, symbiotic.
Killing me. No, it's like that, but it's not that. This is going to kill me. Anyway, this is terrible radio, so we're going to move on.
Let's move on.
So there's just this sort of like expectation that like each of you is in it because you're trying to increase each other's clout, and that's the only reason you hang out with each other, basically. Right. It's like this just very like sort of consumptive thing. Yeah. It's going to kill me that I can't remember this word. Brandon, tell me what you think about this thing while I go look this up, because
oh my Lord. Okay.
I have to know. I can't yell and type at the same time.
No, it's fine. So listen, what's really interesting to me, you're still forming, you can call it a neighborhood or a community or an organization, but my whole point is you are making something. And especially, you know, a boost group, you've all got this thing in common. You all united behind your love of clout. So it's overall, it's fucking positive. Before we had that five-minute sidebar where we're being philosophical. So now that you know you've got maybe a politics in common and you have maybe an identity or a skill or something else in common, now you can do that part of like, what do we want to achieve? What does success look like for us? What are we already good at? And that is like, we can all laugh, haha, Twitter activism. But in terms of like accomplishing something for yourselves, that's better than probably where you were a week ago, right? And Twitter organizations, you've got to leave Twitter. And I don't mean like you have to delete your Twitter, but I mean you're sending letters, you're sending emails, you're doing something that people can like hear and communicate with. So you're probably not just existing on Twitter. You've got something that you're doing, right?
Like there's a reason that you're
on Twitter to do something. You're not.
I mean, I think some people are genuinely just on Twitter as entertainment. I don't think every single person on Twitter is like cynical and trying to climb to the top. We are, but I don't think everybody is.
I mean, well, sure. There are accounts that just float around, 2,000 follows for 10 years, and they post and they're posters. That's fine.
That's probably me. That's because I'm posting.
Right. I'm sure you'll be. We're all gonna ride. One of us will blow up, and we'll just ride that person to the top. I'm thinking. I'm thinking it'll be Rara, and we'll just like Rara's doing something, and we just all right. Entourage. Let's just get in there. But it could be me. Could be you.
The word was fucking transactional. Oh my god.
This is incredible.
Sorry. It just came to mind. You know how? Anyway.
Wait. All right. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. This is Rachel.
Hi.
I said no. This is Rachel. Don't be like Rachel. Do whatever you can to escape this fate. All right. Yeah.
I endorse this statement about me.
But yeah, so are we still digging into this topic, or have we truly well, do you want to talk about the social skills needed to get clout?
I mean,
because we want to be teaching instead of just giving the news. We want to share our wisdom.
So like how base of persuasion, how do you get people to think about what you're trying to get them to think about?
Yeah.
Or, well, so like, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the Socratic method and think it's just about asking questions. And that's not really true. Like, if you want to bring a person over to your side, the very first thing you have to do is you have to meet them exactly where they are. Even if that is like baby food and like remedial and frustrating for you, it won't change where they are. And you have to just ask them questions about their ideas. You have to get them to like talk to you about what they think and then ask them questions that challenge those ideas. And that's the only way you can do it. There's no shortcut. There's no secret. There's no like PUA, weird, manipulative, psycho babble thing that you can just magically do and get people to take you seriously and listen to you. You have to actually, talk to them and treat them like a person and give a shit about what they say.
Listen, guys talk to you all the time and you don't give a shit about them and what they say, but they keep doing it. What's happening there?
Patriarchy.
Oh.
I mean, like, really? Like, I think for men, a lot of men, they see women as like Pokemon, but instead of like catching them, you fuck them. And it's like you have like your Pokedex full of bitches that you fucked. And because I am a woman who is visibly sexy and visibly sexual, in as much as a demisexual ever is, like, because I present myself in a way that is, overtly sexual, they assume that I'm down. And they assume that they can just, yeah, what's up? And they assume that they can just, like, pick me up and then I'm easy. And they assume that, like, I exist for their pleasure. And they kind of do that anyway, right? But I think that they have a sense of like entitlement to my attention and just deep issues with like seeing me as a person at all.
Who's the Pikachu of women?
Jennifer Lawrence.
Low key diss to Pikachu, but also accurate. These are the takes that we're here for.
No, we're gonna do it. All right, let's do it. Give me some more Pokemon.
Oh God.
I'm ready. No, we're playing this game now.
The Onyx of women.
The Onyx of women is probably Rara.
Who's the Mewtwo of women?
Oh God, what's her name? She played the angel in that Keanu Reeves movie, and she's Tilda Swinton. Tilda Swinton, yeah.
That's actually not bad. Who's the Eevee of women?
Anne Hathaway.
Who's the Ditto of women?
Cardi B.
That's pretty good. Who's the Dratini of women?
90s musician Brandy.
Oh, that's all right. Who's the Ekans of women?
Liz Warren.
I knew it was coming. If you've ever seen the fucking video of the fucking alley-oop from LeBron to Wade, them both just like looking into the camera.
Like, we did it.
We did it. Oh, God damn it.
This is such a bad show.
This is it's a show. It's a show.
Well, you know what? We have big Red Clay vibes today, actually. This feels very like old school Red Clay.
That's very true.
Mm-hmm. Like the time we played Fuck, Marry, Kill.
And now it's just there in the background, and that's perfect.
Yeah.
But are we talking loudly over this, or are we?
I assume we would turn it down and just have it like in the back.
Let's turn it down.
Yeah.
If you're
if we're at a 7, it should be at like a 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're in the audience, you can. We love to be criticized by strangers. You know, you love being criticized by strangers. What was the first time you were criticized by a stranger and you were like, I want a whole lifetime of this? This is great.
I literally can't remember.
But
people were telling me I was living life wrong as soon as I was like old enough to understand words.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like me. We love it. It's too loud. YouTube, you. All right.
Anyway, this song fucking rules and is in fact loosely about time.
Our viewership went through the roof as soon as we started playing some music. So we got to get some chill beats to listen to behind our talk, and that'll make it.
Yeah.
Especially when we start talking about metaphysics and shit.
Well, since we're on some Red Clay bullshit, our next song can just be Side You, which is the song we used for Red Clay.
Oh, can you be the person that makes that work?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I will just be here. I'll be me. It'll be great. Nobody needs. Yeah. But with all of that said, it's just wild. It's just wild. The clout game is never ending. It's incredible. I have no idea what we were talking about before this subject started. Rachel, what were we
I just got so excited because
talking about criticism.
I finally remembered the word that I wanted.
Oh God, and criticism from strangers. That was also great. Tomorrow, we should start talking about this. We are going to have Greg McKelvey on. God damn it. Do or die. We've had this person in our radar for maybe the last forever. Like,
well,
since
I mean,
we met. Greg was
we've been friends with Greg since Greg joined Metro Atlanta DSA.
Right, and Greg was there when we met, actually.
Yes, yeah, we actually met
the story
because
of
an interaction I had with Greg. Yeah.
Yeah, the story of our meeting is a Greg McKelvey story.
It is. We'll have to bring it up when we have him tomorrow. So Greg is great. He has been, I think, managing Sarah Iannarone. Did I say that right? I don't know.
That's her name.
Cool. Yeah. So he's been managing her mayoral campaign to try and unseat Ted Wheeler. Fuck him. And they've been doing like really impressively well. Like, I think a lot of sort of establishment people were genuinely surprised how far this woman has pushed and how much support she has. And, you know, by this like energy that is behind her. Because I mean, this is a woman who was getting tear gassed at protests before Ted Wheeler even went to talk to anybody. You know, she has fought for people her entire life. She's incredibly dedicated. She's a fucking comrade. And I think she should be mayor. I don't even live there, but I agree. Like, she seems great. So he's going to come talk to us about that. He's also going to talk to us generally about what's going on in Portland, which is a lot. It's like a war zone right now. Like, it's.
I definitely want to like get some Portland history. I just want to like know what the fuck is going on up there.
Yeah.
Just from like why is Portland especially wild during these times? Not these times like this year. I mean, just historically. Of all the places.
Well, I think, you know, the Pacific Northwest has been sort of an interesting case for the left. They have, in these sort of isolated areas along the coast, these incredibly progressive communities. But then once you get like inland, you know, past the mountains, it becomes much more conservative very quickly. And so there's been this cultural tension there for a long time. And as the right has been sort of rising with a nascent fascist movement, that has pushed into these areas more. And as these areas themselves have expanded, you know, out further as, you know, gentrification happens and displacement happens, you know, more conflicts were happening up there. So I think that what is happening in Portland is like these tensions are coming to a head. And, you know, people are so angry and are so frustrated and so fucking over it. You know, and there is just this like revolutionary energy there, and everybody is sort of wrapped up in it. And I mean, I think that it's a really huge opportunity. I think that it is a place where meaningful change could happen, and I am deeply terrified they're going to end up winning anyway. So that being said, when it is being led by people like Greg, I feel very optimistic because Greg is incredible.
Will Greg say that part when he gives the speech?
Say which part?
I am incredible. I am incredible.
Yes, he's going to say that. He's going to say actually for 17 straight minutes in slightly different intonations, like, I'm incredible. I'm incredible. I'm incredible. I'm incredible. 17 straight minutes. It's going to be an ASMR day tomorrow, actually. After that, I'm going to lick my lips into the camera for another 15 minutes. We're going to get a real tight recording of Brandon snoring. It's going to be a great episode. Everyone should tune in for your Friday party.
Can't wait. Are you doing a Friday thing? Is it Rachel Day? Well, Greg's going to be here.
Yeah, tomorrow's Greg.
Okay.
But we are going to start doing, for people who are watching and curious what's coming next and what sort of new things we're doing now that we're back from our break, we will be doing bitch brunch on Fridays, and that'll just be me and women, and anyone who identifies as a bitch, regardless of their gender. But you do have to acknowledge that you are a bitch to be on the podcast. That's like required. We're going to just get together and we're going to talk about stuff. We're going to drink mimosas.
We're going to make a custom background. It'll have custom colors. It'll be like a fucking brand.
Yeah.
And the brand will prosper. And yeah, no, I'm very much looking forward to that, because those episodes, when it's just Rachel here, it does well. So yeah, it was rad. And we're doing Aaron on Wednesdays now.
Hell yeah. Is that a regular thing?
Yeah, that's going to be
like a
fucking every week thing.
That rules. I love Aaron.
We're going through the roof, basically. We're going through the roof.
You know what it is that there's a bunch of us and we're all really fucking cool and funny. And some of us even know what we're talking about.
There's like 3 of us that know what we're talking about on any given day.
And it's not the same 3 people.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Jesus.
Yeah.
So
I hope everybody listening has enjoyed their parasocial interactions with us.
Wow.
We're chilling.
We're
listening to hip hop beats to podcasts too.
Hey, we want to talk about Trump being a doo-doo head.
Was that on the docket?
Yeah, we gotta talk about this. Trump just said, like, we can't do mail-in voting because if we block their money, they can't have mail-in ballots, and I'll win. He just basically said it.
Yeah. So, folks, if you think we're having an election in November, I really admire your optimism. I think if you are not suicidal, you don't experience suicidal ideation, you should buy a gun and you should grow some fucking food, because I don't think we're going to have an election in November at all.
Rachel, I just wanted you, I just wanted you to say Trump doo-doo head.
Trump doo-doo head.
Give people the Trump bad content that they're craving. And you're like...
Trump ain't got a butterhead, he got a doo-doo head. I said it. I said Trump ain't got a butterhead, he got a doo-doo head.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for. Mm-hmm. Your prophecies of doom. Enough of you.
The Rachel Blackpill arc thus far has been pretty prescient.
It has been pretty pressing, especially because you were looking forward to the most mediocre of all worlds. Like it's January, you were like, it'll be like Warren. The system will chug along. We will suffer.
I was so innocent back then.
You were so
100 years ago at the beginning of the century.
Yeah.
January.
The nomination has not been accepted yet. Here's how. Tomorrow we'll discuss how Elizabeth Warren can still win. It'll happen.
Listen.
Thank you, everybody.
I still want it to happen.
Don't we all?
But like for the joke. You know? Like in the same way that I'm genuinely catastrophically disappointed that Biden's running mate is not Hillary Clinton.
That would have been the lulz option. We're going for the worst and least funny of all possible universes.
I hate it. I want it to be funny again. I do need it to, like, if it's going to be this bad, it at least needs to also be funny. These are my demands. I make them of all politicians and politics itself. I'm going to, like, cast a spell about this later. I'm gonna light some sticks on fire or something and wave them angrily at the gods and demand that they give me funny, shitty outcomes instead of really just boring and disappointing, shitty outcomes.
I love it. Thank you for watching, listening, doing whatever. We'll talk to you again after a while. Patreon.com/notsafe if you feel like donating so we can improve Rachel's setup.
Yup. Having a desk that doesn't hurt my body.
Yeah. All right.
Sponsored by our listeners, viewers, fans, patrons.
Patrons. Not yet sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends, get it together. Bye-bye.
I believe in you, Raid Shadow Legends.